Guys, I'm here under duress. I didn't want to appear with Chammy, but I was told I had to.
Good stuff.
Is that all right?
Yeah, mate, good. Honestly, I'm surprised Danny's here.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
make
he heard
Chammy,
you weren't going to be, so he got caught up and he was definitely going to be
make
here.
this about me.
Aye.
This is what did
We reluctantly went on the show.
what did Pip Edwards say when the Michael Clark and Carl Stefanovic drama? It's not my party. Is that what she said?
You're telling the
Mate,
story.
you gate
I
crashed
wasn't
my
across
party.
that.
You took my spot.
Not my circus.
Like you're
Not my
saying.
circus.
This is not my. Anyway, go.
Look, we're not going to bore listeners too much with stories of journos missing out on things, because when journos become the story, that's when you know things are taking a weird twist. But what happened the other night? How come you weren't on 100% footy?
Oh, I think it was.
You got wide-handed by Danny.
Oh, yeah, Danny knifed me.
This is not my circus.
Well, mate, talk about duress. My wife was on duress. She had to read that I got pulled off the show.
What does that mean?
So
What are you saying?
I'm trying to make jokes, mate. Believe it or not. No,
You're a grub, Chammy.
listen.
Honestly.
No, I got a call Saturday morning.
Yep.
That Mitchell was going to appear likely to appear on the show, and to be fair, straight away I said to the producer that I was happy. Well, I assumed I wouldn't be part of it. There's a long-standing history with Isaac and as an extension Mitchell, and I didn't expect to be part of it. But the decision was made that even after Mitchell had left, it'd be better that Danny was on. And I was doing some stuff with Laurie earlier in the day, which we ran an interview, and the decision was made that Mitchell would be on the show and Danny and I would switch. So
Did you alternate Monday to Monday?
Yeah, we do.
It depends.
Most
If
weeks.
like if Chammy's got something on a Monday night, like touch footy tournaments or something. then
Yeah, well, that's the priority, isn't it?
Yeah, then we'll do. I might do a couple of weeks in a row. If I've got something on, he'll do a couple of weeks in a row. But yeah, it was.
If you got to walk your cat or something,
got to walk my cat, something very important like that. It was Michael. Yeah, it was Michael's turn that night.
So, okay, let's get to the heart of the matter. There's an obvious problem with you and either Mitchell Moses and or Isaac Moses, which is interesting because reading all the comments from West Tigers fans, and thank you for those comments on our social media posts in the last few weeks, you are his mouthpiece, apparently, Isaac, and so are you. Both of you are Isaac Moses' mouthpiece, which is according to West Tigers fans.
Well, one of us are, but
So again, it becomes a bag Weidler because I'm
I'm
collateral
not bagging
damage
Weidler,
in
I'm
this.
giving Eddie credit. I'm
collateral damage in this.
Eddie, the social media
Yes.
guy who put Danny's phone number on social
So
media.
listen, look, are you annoyed about all this?
No, look, what annoys me is I could see what Isaac was doing. He does it with clubs. He does it with.
Okay, so you're
he just
saying,
tries
let's
to
get
influence
into
his
it. You're
power and
saying it's
control.
Isaac who I see. You've got a history of Mitchell Moses. Let's not muck around.
Do I?
right? Yeah, you do.
Tell me what it is.
You've told me you don't get along with him.
Well, I think it's an extension.
Well, you reported that issue last year in Newcastle, didn't you? That you heard in the dressing room that he was vocal about the fact that where is this club going? I'm annoyed, etc. And then you came out and reported that.
Adam, we report things all the time. I reported that Victor Radley got into a fight at the World Cup in Manchester with one of the Irish players. And Victor Radley is fine. He was on the show the other day.
Okay, but yours goes back.
The fight, we did it together.
Chammy.
Hudson Young was fine the next day. Mitchell was very sensitive to some of the things.
Is that what you're saying it is? Like, so what have you? Why is there a disconnect between you guys?
I don't know. Over the years, maybe I've written that he had some blood in his hands with Jason Taylor sacking
Okay,
the
and
Tigers.
he could be angry about that. That's fair
No,
enough.
he spoke to me for 5 years after that, so
Right.
it's not the case. Reporting that the way he left the Tigers and that he packed up the tools and basically gave up and tried to get a release to go to the Eels. All these
And
things
he's talked to
happened.
you since then.
Yeah, we spoke. It all came to a head. I think it was Raiders Para a couple of years ago in the semis. The week before there was an issue. He had been given security escort out of the ground. Now, I can't remember the details exactly, but it was involving his family. I think it was his sister. There were threats made and there were some concerns around it. And myself and the Telegraph were given the tip that Mitchell Moses had received some sort of death threats or threats and needed to be escorted out of the ground.
Was the story right?
Well, we called Parramatta. The
Yep.
story was right.
Yep.
The story was right. And Parramatta had asked us not to write the story. And I said, well, both the Telegraph and myself, we went back to our editors and said, we'll pass on your concerns and let you know. And I passed on my concerns to the editor that I didn't feel comfortable putting Mitchell and his sister in this situation. We went back to Parramatta and said, we won't write the story. The Telegraph came back with the opposite and said, it's the story we believe and we want to write it. So a week later, I'm in the sheds at Parramatta and I get told from the media manager, hey, did you want to speak to Mitchell? I said, no, not really. Why? He said, he won't talk to you because something you did to his family. I said, something did, what are you talking about? I said, I pulled the story that was going to run that Mitch, and that I made the decision because I didn't feel it was right to do it to his family. And from that day, we haven't spoken. Before then, it was fine. But Isaac and I haven't spoken since the day Jason Taylor was sacked. I've made a decision, a professional decision, that I didn't feel as though there was a benefit in having a relationship with Isaac because everything's on his terms. And I stand by that. Now, people always...
Do you talk to agents in his stable? Because he's got a fair few agents.
No, I don't speak to agents in his stable, but I speak to a lot, and this is what annoys him. I'm friends with a lot of his friends. I'm friends with a lot of his family.
Is that because you grew up in sort of same...
We went to the same school together. I know I'm close with a lot of people that are close to Isaac. And I've got a lot of information over the years that he doesn't like. And a lot of it looks like it's coming from Isaac. And sometimes I may make it look like it's coming from Isaac to protect my sources. And he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. And even 3 or 4 weeks ago, guys, the fact that Benji, I broke that, Lockie Galvin didn't think Benji can coach. Everyone assumed it came from Isaac. And that's fine. I don't care. Everyone has been accusing me of being Isaac's puppet, but I haven't spoken to him since the day Jason Taylor was sacked because I felt that he had his people in the media. And if you weren't his mouthpiece, it's a one-way street. You do things on his terms. And if you don't, then you get iced out. So I decided I'm not going to play that game.
You'd be a good double agent. Spy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
covert puppet.
That's fair. And to be fair, Danny hasn't spoken to him for a long time either.
Yeah. Isn't it weird? Like,
So-
I know in your game you can't please everyone all the time. You are going to upset people.
We please nobody most of the time. That should be on our...
Yeah, fair enough.
That should be what we're
It's
about.
like your business card.
We please nobody most of the time. But, you have blue... Like, you're blue with Mitchell.
I don't even know what it is.
Okay, well, maybe you should try and sort it out. Maybe you reach out and say, can we sort it
I
out?
spoke to Mitchell last year in text messages. He gave me some comments for that story about the blow up in the sheds. Good memory, Adam.
Thanks.
But mate, this is not Mitchell. Like Mitchell.
So you think it's?
I don't think Mitchell would have been comfortable with me, but I think it would have been driven by Isaac. Yeah, because I was happy to come on the show after Mitchell had left, and it was made clear that perhaps it's better off him not coming on that week.
Right.
What was the issue with me being on after he'd left?
Look, we have blues with people all the time. I'll be very honest. I mean, I sit on a panel and sometimes I'm next to Cameron Smith. Cameron and I had an ongoing disagreement for years. Years. And we've had Barneys in that time. I sit next to him now. He is polite, respectful. We talk off camera. I don't know if we're ever going to be, having a barbecue together. But you know what? We can function and we get along. And sometimes more often than not in this business, you fall out with people at some point. I mean, you're on the panel with Gus.
Yeah.
You've got a frosty. I mean, we joke about it.
Yeah.
But it's not a warm relationship.
No, it's
but
not.
But it's not unworkable, right?
That's not and that's okay. That's part and parcel of the job that we do. We can't be friends with everyone. Like I think it stems back to Penrith. I felt he probably felt as though I had a close relationship with the chair and CEO, and towards the end of his tenure, he may have felt that I was trying to undermine him. Well, I wasn't. I wasn't aware at the time that people were trying to maybe move him on. And I broke the story that Ivan Cleary was coming back to the Panthers, and I remember he rang me and blew up at me, said I was wrong.
And when did Ivan sign?
No, but look, I didn't know at the time that there were things going on in the background that were agitating to move Gus on.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Ivan had told the club that if he came back that Gus would be gone eventually. I can understand why he would be upset with me, thinking that I was taking their side. Now, years later, I'm on the same panel with him, and we're not best mates, but
Chammy,
it's a working relationship.
We have blues with people all the time.
It's because you run into people who, like Isaac, for instance, who are so biased in where they see the narrative going. And it's completely understandable because that's his living and he's trying to furnish the living of his players and his clients and everything. He is like pushing that narrative in one direction. And if he finds out that narrative goes in another direction through your reporting, for instance, he's obviously going to say that you're wrong and blow up. But if you know you're right, that's when agitation happens.
Yeah.
Seemingly over a 7 or 8 year period.
It's a game built on feuds.
Yeah.
There's feuds on the field. There's feuds between clubs. There's journos, there's a lot of journos I have feuds with. There's
You reckon?
A lot of,
No way.
There are a lot of people like coaches. You fall out with people.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last week. It's just part of it. And like what happened, your situation, obviously wasn't ideal, but I mean, maybe you can somehow get back and talk to Mitchell or Isaac. I don't know if you want to or not, but
I've got no issue with Mitchell or even Isaac. I just don't feel like with what I want to do in my profession, I don't feel there's any benefit in having a relationship with Isaac because I feel like it's all on his terms. I want a working relationship with Mitchell. I want to be able to say hello, which it was. But at the end of the day, Danny, if they don't like me, they don't like me. That's their choice. And I have no issue with Mitchell not wanting to be on the panel with me.
I've been on, like, I remember years ago, I was on the Footy show when it used to be like a Thursday night Footy show. And I was doing a story around Craig Gower. And I was a guest on the Footy show. And Ryan Girdler was, I think, part of the panel. And I'd done the story saying Craig Gower was going to quit and go to play European rugby. I was getting absolutely pizzled by everybody.
Dog's abuse. Yeah.
By Ray Hadley was giving it to me. Gower called me a dribbler about the story.
Well,
and then I went on. They said, "Okay, we want you on the Footy show to, tell the story." But I got tipped up a minute before I was going on by a producer saying, "Hey, listen, there could be a stitch up here." Because they've got some information that they're going to use. It's not radio on a show where I'm working on. But it's part of it. Like it's part of the. You've got to. Where TV's a hard game and journalism's a hard game, and if you're going to say something, you have to be able to back it up.
So did Gerds go at you with that?
I can't ever remember, but nothing too bad.
Yeah,
he was on Gower's side.
Yeah,
but then I think the next day he was off to European rugby.
So the story was 100% right.
Because I said it on air. I spoke to his manager, and his manager said that's what's going to happen. Simple as that. I mean,
anyway,
and you're gonna have run-ins with blokes. It's just part of our game, and you should go and have a coffee with Mitchell or Isaac, whoever you want to, if you feel like it.
Do you want me to help out?
No, I'm okay.
I can't bring you two together.
I'm okay. I don't want to. If you're friends with everyone in this game, you can't do your job.
No,
properly,
you can't,
because then you're hamstrung.
Yeah.
Some people you're going to be close to, some you're not, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. What I have an issue with is Isaac constantly trying to, as he does with clubs. What that was a message to me saying, be careful what you write because I can get you, even at your workplace. And
you really think it was that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Ooh,
that's heavy.
Sinister.
Well, what else is it? It's in relation to what I've written. We haven't spoken in 8 years. We didn't have a fight. It's just what I've been writing.
So you don't think it was Mitchell driving it?
I think Mitchell would have been okay with the decision, but I think Isaac would have driven it. Mitchell doesn't. The thing with Mitchell is,
I find Mitchell good to deal with.
Yeah, I found him good to deal with.
I find him to be
if you don't, Mitchell runs everything past Isaac. Isaac has a huge say in a lot of things, and that annoys a lot of people at Parramatta as well, and it has for a long time.
Okay.
Origin, guys, you spoke with Laurie. It's interesting. I do listen to Laurie's radio show when I'm in the car. Occasionally, you're on it occasionally, and
Big Sports Breakfast.
It's quite the achievement, Laurie, over the last 6 weeks by going on radio for 3 hours a morning, but not actually saying anything. We're still totally unaware of who he's going to pick and why and all of that. You sat down with him the other day, Chammy, for 100% footy.
Yep.
And what was the vibe you got off Laurie? Does he know his team? And obviously he's not going to give it away. Or do you think he's a little undecided about what he's going to come up with on Sunday night?
When I left him on Monday, he was going to meet with. He had a selection meeting that night. I think they know where they're going. I think he is being clever with some of the words. As you'd expect, do we expect him to give us the team a week out? Of course not.
Absolutely not. And Billy's the same. He's on Channel 9.
We have a crack at it. We haven't prepared it, but should we have
I think Dylan will be the fullback.
I think he'll be the fullback.
I'm not convinced that he'll take a risk on both To'o and Lomax with one game.
I think that's right. I think there's a concern about having two wingers with only one game each. Yeah.
And I think that the fact that Penrith have a bye may work against To'o.
Really?
Played one game, wasn't that good last week, then has a bye this week leading into it, so wouldn't have played. He would only play one game in the last 10 weeks.
I reckon To'o has a very good chance.
By the way, just quickly, and not a lot of sympathy around for a team that's won 4 competitions amongst the fans of the other team, but how on earth has Penrith got the bye before Origin when half their team's going to go? Why haven't they got their byes during Origin?
Yeah.
When don't know. How does that work?
It's a good question.
How does a bye work? How does
that's
they don't want to be
insane
of rorting the draw to favour teams, maybe.
Centres? Trell and Critter?
Yeah, so what is Turbo on the wing?
Yes.
I don't know.
big
I'm
tall
hearing
catch.
Carraz is a big chance.
I think if you're asking me to say today, I would say, and if the wingers aren't considered fit enough, I would say Carraz is a very good chance.
You look at I know we're not like coaches here, but I watch it and think
Jamie thinks he is.
Dylan Edwards actually, when he catches the ball, he actually is quite happy to take that first hit into the line. Like fullbacks sometimes, or 50% of the time, they'll loop out to the winger, turn the winger inside, and the winger takes that first hit up. But Edwards takes a lot of those first hit ups. So I'm thinking you don't want Tommy Turbo taking that first hit up, but if he takes that second hit up or from dummy half as a winger, I think that works a lot. And Jacob Carraz has been outstanding, but I just get the feeling that Turbo is going to play wing. And you have to have Latrell and Crichton.
Turbo doesn't get picked. Turbo doesn't going to get picked. That'll do me.
I think there needs to be a discussion at some point from the Blues management or from Laurie or whoever. Sit down with Turbo and find out exactly where his body's at.
He looked pretty good last week.
Happened by now, surely.
Well, I'm just saying,
it would have.
That's what I think.
That'd be in dialogue with Manly.
I think they have to
stuff.
find out from Turbo face to face and say, listen, where you at? Like, because I think he's been good, but he hasn't been Turbo in my eyes. I don't think. I mean, you're a Manly man. Has he played as well as?
You can't get a read on it because he hasn't played enough. Well, he looked pretty good physically last week. He looked like he wasn't trying to protect.
Have we seen him blitz it, like just come out and explode?
At times during this season when he's been, just before he got injured against Parramatta, he looked, oh, wow, that's him. And then he copped that knee blow and it's like, far out. Here we go again.
They're worried about To'o's height. I know it's unfair because it's never been an issue in the past.
I was about to say, he hasn't got shorter since he was last.
No, I know. And
was he shrinking?
I feel like Carraz, Trbojevic on a wing or Lomax.
Yeah, but hang on. How many years in a row?
Giants, Latrell and Critter.
But To'o has played how many?
I'm just saying, are they? I'm not. I would pick To'o. He's my first winger.
To'o's absolute strength is the way he carries the ball, and you need that in Origin.
Yeah, and if you've got a tall centre next to him, it's not a problem.
5'8",
because he can get away and help. Mitch, go on.
I left the conversation. No, I left the conversation with Laurie thinking Mitchell's the 6.
Pick him.
I would pick Jerome.
I wonder why.
It's got nothing to do. Jerome's the left side of the play, got the left foot kick, and I like the arrogance that he comes into the game with. I think he can unsettle Queensland.
That's his biggest call, I reckon. That's the biggest call between those two.
That's going to be the one, right?
It's not a split hair between them
at
Origin level.
If Mitchell gets picked, he's a great player. He's a great player.
It's going to be grubs like Chammy the day after. If the Blues lose, he'll be attacking the selection, saying either way. Like Laurie can't win unless he.
Who's captain?
Back to the halves. I think it's Cleary Moses.
Yeah, I think judging from Laurie, I think it's Cleary Moses. Yeah,
Yo captain, and Jake might be in trouble. You've written about this a fair bit in the last. You're trying to get a read on it. It's hard to get a read on it because Manly chose Jake as a prop last week. He's back to 13 this week. Where I don't know if any instruction, probably not coming.
There's a push on. There is a push on from some people to pick him publicly. I tend to think front row is Payne Haas.
Barnett.
Saifidi. I'm hearing
Jacob.
I'm hearing Jacob.
Jacob, yeah.
A bit of talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
On the bench.
Yeah.
And Spencer
bench. Robson. Robson Hookie.
Robson
Hooker.
Hooker. Yeah, Lee Hookie. Great. I reckon just to take it back a step to the halves, what might count against Jerome is he doesn't play until Sunday, 6:15.
Right.
They're going to have selection meetings. They're going to be sitting down together on Sunday, working out their team.
When do they name it?
Well, they normally
They're trying to work it out. They're going to make a decision, or probably now as we're doing this podcast, they're deciding whether they name it Sunday night or Monday.
Because they normally name it around 6 o'clock on a Sunday night, which is great for us.
Yeah.
But they have their women's origins on a Thursday, so the Thursday night football game is now being played Sunday, 6:15. Yeah. So that's Sunday 8:30 before you have all the rounds played. I reckon by the time Jerome plays on Sunday night, they're going to have a good inkling. Mitchell plays Thursday.
Yeah.
Mitchell plays Friday.
6 p.m.
Yeah, 6
against
p.m.
the Knights.
So Mitchell goes out and brains it. Jerome has to wait a long time to try and convince him otherwise.
Who's your captain?
Nathan and Yowie.
I've got Isaiah Yo as captain. Absolutely.
Jeez, I'd love to see Critter get it, Stephen Crichton. But I know he's not. I know he probably won't. But I think of all the leaders I've seen this year, his leadership stands out to me.
Yeah, but he can still do that without
Yowie or
Who's your goal kicker? You got Nathan, you got Mitchell, you got Critter, you got who else is in there? Lomax potentially.
I think
Who's your goal kicker?
Who's kicking the best at the
Latrell's
moment?
in there.
well, the Lomax was unbelievable last year if he's in the side.
Yeah, but he hasn't played. And goal
Won't be
kicking is
Mitchell. He's not
rhythm.
even kicking at club level.
It's
so-
it's between for me. It's between Nathan
and Lomax.
and Lomax. I mean, Critter's arguably the best.
I heard Critter. The reason he wasn't kicking goals earlier in the year or when Burton was there is because they think Critter's a better goal kicker, but what he offers at the halfway mark in the team talk,
Oh, yeah.
the
That's
leadership,
exactly right. That's exactly what
they
it
couldn't
is.
afford to have him not in the huddle.
It's exactly. Or Critter himself
Yeah,
likes to be there for that.
Yeah.
And that's why Burton was kicking.
but now it's
Yeah.
changed.
It's not speaking about Queensland, but that's the way it goes. Let Dobbo do that in the other podcast. With New South Wales, about what Madge brought behind the scenes, the things that you hear about after, about building that, brotherhood and culture and everything. Is the remnants of that going to carry over under Laurie, or has he gone in a different direction, even his support staff?
Well, the
Frank
staff's-
Panisi's back.
The staff's pretty much the same. I
Yeah.
think Dean
Yeah.
Young has come in. What was
Matt
it?
King's still there.
Was Cardi there last
He
year?
was,
Yeah, I think
yeah, he
he's
won't be
coaching in
there.
England. So it's largely it's a cookie cutter sort of thing. Like it's in place. They're going to the same place. The fields,
Blue Mountains.
Blue Mountains.
So you got your
Camp.
places in the bushes that you can go back to and look
I got-
through. It's,
Hang on.
Your telescope.
He's about to say something.
I got kicked out last year. Eh? I don't think
Yeah.
the Blues know this, but there's like a hill behind the field at the school there, and I climbed up this hill and was hiding in the trees.
Why did you do that?
I think
again?
Nico was injured, and we didn't know if Nico was going to play, and he had a calf issue of some
You
sort.
know, he went to the disposal, the local lure disposal, bought one of those net things you wear.
Yeah, army fatigues.
Yeah, those army fatigues.
I was hiding on the floor. I got a photo of me hiding on the floor. I took a selfie.
Well, that might have to.
And then
appear
the
in
school principal or someone came and saw me. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Oh.
Mate, I've just got to come watch
Mate,
us the
You're
local.
lucky you didn't get arrested.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh,
Why do you think?
hanging out in the bushes
In
near
a
a school. What do you
There
reckon?
were no kids around. It was school holidays. You gibber or something. I don't know. They were
Okay.
in class, but I was watching the field.
Yeah.
You might have been there for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Mate, if Nico Hines went down, we needed to be the first to be onto it.
Yeah.
There's
Normal.
I was at a public park.
It's completely normal behaviour.
Public.
Hiding in the
In the
bushes.
bushes.
Yep, absolutely. Completely normal.
John J. Rambo.
You see why Mitchell hates me?
Yeah, I don't know why.
So a lot of people
Can't
hate you,
understand it. Anyway, best luck to the Blues and also Billy naming the Queensland side as well this
Queensland.
weekend.
Jamie. Okay, here
I'm
we
going to
go.
be fascinated because there's
I
a
like when
whispers
you
that
say that.
Selwyn Cobbo may not be picked.
Ooh.
And if he doesn't, I wonder if Danny's validated in his story last
Why
year.
would he? Why wouldn't he? He's been playing well,
I'm just telling you, there are
but
whispers
he's been
out
playing well.
there. So who are your wingers? It might be Coates and Taulungi.
Really?
What about DCE? What are you hearing there?
No, I don't think you gave that enough credit. There,
No.
'cause
No,
If he doesn't get picked,
it can be short and sharp.
Danny is going to
His-
look like a genius.
His form has been good this year. I think.
So if he doesn't get picked,
I'm just saying his form's been.
what
good.
did you write last year?
It's a long time ago, Michael.
What did you can't remember, can you?
No, it was along the lines of that there was friction between the coaching staff and Selwyn.
Okay.
Yep.
So
And look, we all know that Selwyn is probably a long way from what Billy Slater was as a player in terms of being, like someone who does the extra work is the last one, first one in, last one, that sort of stuff, right? So I don't know. I haven't heard that mail, but he's been playing well. He's been playing well.
DCE? Does he get picked?
yeah, he's there. He's there.
He's there?
He'll be there.
Captain.
Yeah, you can't take the captaincy.
Someone was trying to say Munster fullback. Have you heard anything?
Munster.
No, that was a
fullback.
couple of weeks ago.
Was it okay? I saw
What
that.
did in the halves with Cherry?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I'm not as connected
How
with
do
the
you-
Queensland.
Kalen's got to be there.
Do we care about Queensland?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if you look like a genius.
Oh, I'm not worried about that.
A Roosters. So Trent Robinson not too happy with the Newcastle Knights at the moment over the Dom Young situation. Said the Knights said they had the money to take Young now, but have backtracked. So Brandon Smith has officially moved on. He's a South Sydney player henceforth. They're manoeuvring everything behind the scenes, the Roosters, for the salary cap, still waiting the DCE decision. All the antennas went up with me and my Manly mates on Tuesday when Joey Walsh was named in the 21 for Manly to go up to North Queensland. He is the young halfback coming through the system that is behind DCE at the moment. even though they
Why
got-
did your antennas go up?
why is he all of a sudden in the squad? maybe DCE is carrying something. Maybe
We
they're
need to make some calls, mate.
But do we think that he might be injured, or do you think that might be because they're preparing for an exit?
maybe.
No,
I think more to the
I don't
point.
think, I don't think an
They're
exit.
looking at DCE cover when Origin is
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and Joey Walsh could be the guy. They want to
Has he been
integrate him
to
into
21
this.
yet this year?
I haven't
First
seen him. I could be wrong. It's the first time I saw him on the team
Well,
list
you're
Tuesday.
a train spotter when it comes to the Seagulls.
I am.
Well,
But-
you're wrong about your mate Hopper. Your old
Well,
mate,
at what point,
Eagle mate
though,
Hopper.
During the year, do they go, yeah, I know. At what point, like, he doesn't listen to the... Well, the reason he...
Hang on, you said 1,000,000 to 1 that Hopper would know about.
Well, it's because he's got 83 kids. How have you got time to listen to a podcast when you've got that many children?
If it wasn't put on social, he wouldn't have heard it because it was on social media. I think he's big on the social media, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't follow Hopper.
Yeah.
Oh, Sledge. Bagged him.
Sorry, back to DCE. At what point during the season, though, assuming that DCE, and that's like 99% sure that he'll see out the year with Manly, unless something extraordinary happens and they swap him, get him out to the Roosters before June 30, that at what point do they go, well, actually, DCE, we've got to see how Joey Walsh is going to go as a halfback. Have a week off.
Look forward to those disrespect stories. Smear campaign.
It's a smear campaign at the selection table, isn't it? Because it hasn't gone well since that.
Yeah, but also...
I'm not going to bag the guy
let's be
because
fair
he's given
dinkum,
so much.
If
But
Joey Walsh was their number 7 next year, I could understand it, but they just spent $2 million
Yeah.
on Fogarty coming in.
But at some point, they've got to integrate Joey
How
Walsh
did you go
into
against Penrith, Manly?
Good.
Flogged them, didn't you?
Yeah.
DCE was playing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's solid.
So on that week, everything was okay. Like they were all getting along that week, but they're not getting along the next week.
Well, that's the,
I don't know. To me,
Yeah.
that you can't blame.
it was a bit
Cherry.
like it 2 years ago with the rainbow jersey. That everything,
Well, no, they lost 7 in a row. Then.
yeah, but everything that went bad after that. Whereas I said, and
But a
okay,
couple
the
of-
rainbow jersey was one thing, but they weren't playing that well before that.
But a couple of weeks ago,
The
they
rainbow
beat,
jersey
they-
killed Des, didn't it?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago they beat Penrith.
Yeah.
And so they can't. There was a disharmony not there.
I'm not saying there's disharmony.
Well, isn't that what
I'm saying there's roster management going on.
isn't that what the implication is by people saying that Cherry's decision has made the group split and all that sort of
I'm
stuff?
not saying they're
But
still
people
trying
have
to.
said that.
The,
People have
the
said
team's just not playing
I
well.
don't think they were as united as that anyway before the whole thing blew up, to be fair.
I reckon they're united still. But what my concern is that Cherry Evans isn't dominating games like he started the year on fire, first month. My goodness. But those performances haven't been as apparent.
Would
and
you
I'm
be
not.
o- Would you be okay if you left mid-season?
Really?
That's the way it goes.
I don't think it's on the cards, but
Well,
would
if
you-
we-
as a Manly fan, you'd be okay.
We're not going to win a grand final. We're not going to make a grand final. So,
Tipped you to make it against the Dogs.
yeah, what'd you do that for?
Well, the Dogs going to make it.
I could have told you not to do that. Dogs, maybe, yeah. But
Well, Sam Walker, unfortunately for Sam Walker, we drink at the same coffee shop, and I bumped into him the other day, and he said he's back in about 4 weeks or 4
Okay.
or 5 weeks. So,
yeah.
so he'll be, maybe he'll be in the halves with Cherry Evans.
What does the salary cap situation look like for the Chooks with all this manoeuvring with Brandon moving on and trying to free up Dom Young money?
I find it interesting. I think they're more just they've got an eye to the future. They know they know with the new teams coming in or teams coming in soon, they have to secure players, and I think that's why they're moving on some of the younger guys, and they're trying to stave off potential raids from the Bears and the Papua
From
New
the
Guinea.
Bears, I'm signing Nafahu White, first player.
Yeah, he's
First
good.
player.
Oh, I'm not first
But
prop.
I think that's what one of the players the Roosters are going to try lock
yeah,
up
they're going
now.
to try and lock him down. He's a good player, Nafahu White.
And does this now explain the May release? White.
Nah, I don't think so.
I still don't understand it.
They're not related.
Yeah,
They're not?
I don't. They just don't think you fit in. I'm not buying. It's not a salary cap decision. He was on peanuts, mate. He was on peanuts.
yeah. Compared to for what he's worth, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's on. I think last year he played on around $200,000.
Hmm.
He's on $750 at the Tigers now.
I still don't quite get it
Hmm.
that one. But yeah, White is a good player. That's why I think the Roosters are doing this manoeuvring now, and I think other clubs will do the same. I mean, I interviewed Gus yesterday, and I said, "Are you worried about the new teams coming in and what it's going to do to your roster?" He said, "I think his words were." We won't be losing any players that we want to keep. It's as simple as that.
They're in a sweet spot now. They're in the same period.
Who,
that
the
Penrith
Dogs
were.
or-
yeah,
yeah.
because they win a comp now with all their players locked up on unders, like Penrith did. Penrith won a comp with Gillen on 500, Isaiah Yeo on 7, Jerome on
Hang
7.
on, you've got them winning the comp.
Yeah, they're in a. That's what I said.
Mm.
If they can win the comp now, they could have sustained success. If you win the comp when you're paying overs like Brisbane, it falls away very quickly. But if you can win the comp when you're paying unders for players
and you've got them locked,
down, then you can have sustained success. And if the Dogs can go on and win the comp this year, they could win. They could win a couple.
Oh, dynasty.
Wow.
Dynasty from Chammas.
That's what Penrith did.
Yeah, I know.
They were all on unders, mate. They were all on unders and had success. And they were locked down, and Gus or Matt, and then an extension of that, Matt, Cameron and Ivan, they were smart to do that. And now they're at a point now where they're losing players left, right and centre, but they've got 4 premiership rings to show for it. So it doesn't matter what happens from here on in.
Now that we're talking about Dogs, Chammy, I noticed on the rundown, it's a bit further down, but Toby Sexton.
Yeah,
I asked Gus yesterday. I said, where you at? Like you're not worried about your roster, and his answer was not probably what Toby wanted to hear. He said he's developing well. We're liking what he's doing, but I don't know if there's a contract there. And I've written that a while ago that Toby's aware that they're not jumping to re-sign him. Do you think
bizarre? His manager put out a story, I think with Pete Bedell, that
3 clubs wanted him.
There was a deal done, or the deal offered at the Dogs. That's not the case.
There has not been an offer. I'm not bagging Bedell's story. There hasn't been an offer, and there's been no indication that he's necessarily going to be there.
You heard Sandon Smith's been shopped around?
Yes, I think I did it on 100% Footy the other night. Said that he turned down.
What you're watching?
No, it was a couple of weeks.
Was it a boycott episode?
No, it was a couple of weeks ago when you should have been watching. When I was filling in for you on Touch Footy or something.
Yeah, he's Touch Footy or mixed netball
I'll give you a
grand
scoop.
final.
I actually had it on the Scuttle the week before. It was the third item.
Oh.
And didn't get to it. Gus started talking too much, and we didn't get to Sandon Smith. Then he did it the following week. I didn't even tell you.
No. What I heard was that Sandon Smith had the opportunity to stay with the Roosters a little while back. They offered to extend him and give him another, like an upgrade as well. And I think the offer was around $400 a year, which isn't
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah. And he knocked it back. So good player.
On Gus.
Oh yeah.
His tweet.
Oh God. Sorry.
Plenty happening at the moment. Things are bubbling away behind the scenes. Interesting few weeks ahead.
When did he do that? Oh no, don't follow it. He doesn't. He's blocked me.
Why would he?
Has he actually blocked you?
Yeah, he hasn't unblocked me. It's been blocked for like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, good.
Can you sort that out for me?
I'm not going. That's another one you can organise.
You know what? I don't need you to sort it out because you can see blocked tweets now. Apparently.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Freedom of speech.
You just can't reply to them.
Well, you'd reply to Gus's tweets
exactly.
like
See you tonight, big man.
So
if you did that would make me laugh.
What on earth is he on about there? Is he talking about geopolitical issues around the world, or is he talking about rugby league?
I had the privilege of being at Gus's.
Didn't you? Aren't you the conductor of the event?
Surprise 50 years in rugby league party,
which he hated apparently when he walked into the room.
He was shocked, and it's not really his scene. He said he doesn't even want to have a funeral. Let alone have a party celebrating him to any description. He said he's never had a birthday party.
He doesn't want a funeral. He wants someone to just put him on a boat, drive out to the continental shelf, and push him off.
Gus says.
Can I ask you?
Hang on, I've got to. Sorry,
it's about Gus. If you had to choose where to be buried in rugby league,
I don't know.
No, if you had to choose a rugby league venue, what's his venue of choice?
I am not going to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. That makes me sad to talk about things like this.
Okay, so you can't give me a venue? Penrith Park, Allianz, Belmore, somewhere?
Henson Park, I don't know.
Oh, Henson?
I don't know. I don't know.
He just gave us an answer, Henson.
Anyway.
Redfern Oval?
Listen.
He's a bunny.
So you asked me what that tweet means. I interviewed, on that night, I interviewed Cameron Ciraldo and Ricky Stewart standing next to each other. And I think that I said that Gus is unusual, and they both had a bit of a laugh. And Ricky said that the advice he'd given to Cameron is don't try and think about what he's thinking. That's his strongest as his advisor. Don't try and work out what Gus is thinking.
Cameron shouldn't think
Don't try and work out what he's thinking.
Yeah.
So my advice to you, Adam, if you're curious about, don't even try and work out.
Yeah.
Just let him.
He's 8 steps ahead.
I don't know. I don't know what he's referring to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to try and guess because it'll do your head in.
I'm going to guess he's going to be the Bears general manager.
Well, James Bracey would like that. The board member.
Is Mal going to be the coach, or is he going to be the GM? That story broke in the last 24 hours.
Reedy wrote that it was a coach. I didn't think he said
coach,
GM.
Coach.
He said he wants to be coach. I don't know if he's going to be coach, but he wants to be.
I've talked to people around the Mal camp.
Is it real? Like,
It's real. No,
is the NRL interest real?
Well, Mal's interest is real.
Okay.
And Mal would like to do it, which is a little bit surprising because he hasn't coached at a first grade level for a hell of a long time.
But would it be I would imagine it as a relationship with his 2IC, like Michael Hagan, Mal Meninga, Origin period.
Adrian Lamb, was he part of that too? No.
Yeah, so he's got a team, and that's how some coaching is done these days.
Like you're saying he takes a figurehead style.
Not a figurehead. He's still in charge of decisions, selection, but overseeing things while the actual nitty-gritty of the coaching gets done, which happens a lot.
Yeah, which was what everyone said was happening at Queensland. He was the man manager, the glue that kept everyone there and kept everyone together, and the tactical side of things was taken care of by others.
If he has that role...
He oversaw the tactical side. He had a lot of heavy consultation with those players, but like you'd be dumb not to go into the minds of Slater, Cronk, Smith.
Yeah, and if he has that role can work. He'll need a good team.
30 weeks?
Yeah, but he'd need a very... Yeah. Because my view is that, we saw what a tough market Perth is going to be, like with the West Australian just hammering, the whole idea of the Perth team being there. That's their main newspaper there. It's a very 7 network dominated state. So that the league is up, NRL's up against it, and they don't mind that challenge. And they're going to need a coach with some charisma who can stand up and win people over.
Non-rugby league people know who Mal Meninga is.
Yeah, so that's why he's got an advantage. Yeah. Where his disadvantage is that he hasn't done it for a long time, and there are a lot of other good people like Brad Arthur who's a nuts and bolts man who knows the game inside out. The middle ground there is Sam Burgess, who's got a presence and can coach as well. What are you smiling
Let's
for?
take a break, guys. We're back with a bit about Taylan May.
There you go. Chammy thrown to the break there because he's got somewhere to be, so he wanted to take over the hosting duties.
He was talking too much. He was gibbering. I just had to move on. You had to move on.
Taylan May. Danny, you sat down with Taylan for a chat. He doesn't have a footy team at the moment.
But basketball team.
He's Orlando Magic, Shaquille O'Neal. Great doco I watched on Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway. Anyway, well, it says it on it. It says Magic.
He thought it was from Magic.
I can barely read the rundown. It's in front of me.
This guy, is he going to play footy in 2025? And also the redemption story. And look, the guy sounds like he's had some deep issues to try and sort out.
Yeah, look. First of all, it's worth saying that not everybody's going to love Taylan May, and he knows that.
No.
And he's prepared for backlash and all that kind of thing. He has, again, everything that he has created in his life. Sorry, Michael Chammas is blowing.
He's just gone off.
Sorry, bro.
Anyway, what was I saying? He knows he's put himself in this situation, and he's got to accept responsibility for that. Sacked by the Panthers and court battles and all that sort of thing. He has taken steps to right himself and make himself a better person because he knew he had to become that. He went into rehab for 5 weeks and into a psych ward for 2 weeks. And I'll have a bit more on that in my column on Sunday, sort of more detail on that. But he's desperate to play rugby league because I doubted whether he wanted to be a boxer, a rapper, a YouTuber, who knows what. He's a different sort of guy. But he said rugby league is what he wants, and he wants to play with his brother at the Tigers. Whether that opportunity opens up soon, he's hopeful. And there's a bit of a whisper around about the Rabbitohs too.
So you've done a lot of these stories over the years about guys who have got themselves into a fair bit of trouble in their life, and they're trying to make amends one way or another. Do you believe me?
Yeah, I do. I think the steps he's taken. If he was just re-entering rugby league without, like, what he's put himself through, like, it's costly. Like, rehab is, $10,000 a week, something like that, right?
Yeah, it's not on Medicare.
So just say he's outlaid
$10,000 a week.
Maybe more. I could be wrong. And so we're looking at just say, with the psych ward stuff as well. Maybe he's outlaid 80, 90, like 100. I don't know. Right, he spent $100,000, just say, on that. Then to put yourself through that, I don't know if I haven't been through that myself, but I could imagine it would be a rigorous process. To walk into a psych ward would be an eye-opening experience, and we're talking about some heavy duty stuff, and
Is it ongoing? Like, is he?
Well, that's what it has to be. It has to be he's got to, if he's not going to keep working on himself, and if he's going to if he's going to slip into any bad habits, he's going to have to, he won't get to where he wants to be. Simple as that.
Did he go into detail about his bad habits and what gets himself into those situations?
Well, it's not so much it's bad decisions.
Yeah.
And, you and I and Michael, I haven't been to where he grew up. I haven't lived his life. I don't know what he's been through in the past. I don't know what his upbringing has been like. I'd like to know more about it. But, he doesn't, he knows what people think of him. And it's, you know him probably better than I do.
I don't know. I know
the family.
I know the family a little bit. I dealt with Taylan quite a bit. Terrell, no, not Taylan, sorry.
That was my first time I've actually dealt with him, like in that interview situation.
Can I ask, as a journalist, someone who looks up to you as a mentor?
Here we go.
No,
Geez, that's a different tone to the start of the podcast.
Is this the same bloke just blowing his nose while speaking?
Sorry, man. Would you rather me just sit here with a booger hanging down?
A lava stream of snot over there.
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
extraordinary.
Can we not?
Sorry about that,
listeners. In all
seriousness,
seriousness, when you're making the decision to sit down with him, a lot of people have their views on him. What goes through your head when you're actually deciding, should I sit down with a guy, and is it going to get backlash for even just like... Even someone like Jared Hayne right now. Well, there are different, I guess, views on certain people, and how does that impact on your decision making process?
Well, I think it's a story. That's what it like. He hasn't talked.
Did you get any backlash?
I'm sure I have somewhere, but I haven't seen it.
That's right. You blocked comments. You don't see it.
No, people can still. I haven't got it on Twitter. Yeah. I don't know what I don't know, but I also, Chammy, I don't sit there scrolling through my phone looking at comments like you.
No, I'm saying from work and stuff.
Work?
How did you just sledge me?
Yes.
You just sledged me.
Yes, I did just sledge you.
Yeah, good.
You know what I mean?
You didn't even realise
I
it.
take back that. You're not my mentor. That belongs to Buzz and other people.
Oh.
Nearly got through a whole podcast without mentioning. Shout out to Buzz.
Yes.
Des Hasler.
Did I answer any of your questions?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, sorry. No, it was good. It was good. It was good to get that kind of side of it.
How
I'm interested what you
it's
said
a story.
about Souths. I heard the Souths.
There's a whisper.
While.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
He'd be good under
Denials,
Bennett.
but I think Bennett has... I know we're going to meet with denials, but
we always get denials,
think
Jimmy.
Bennett has kept an eye on him and maybe reached out to him over the last...
I think Bennett would be good for him.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the Tigers wouldn't.
Mate, he's a great player. Like, forget about everything else for a second, just football.
Oh,
he's
football.
A good player, mate.
Football, I think he's Origin standard player.
Yeah.
But
potential.
That, given everything that's happened, is a bit of an afterthought, if you know what I mean. Anyway,
yes,
Des Hasler, how's he going at the Titans? Kieran Foran, he gets his buddy back into the team. Is he... Did that second half actually save a job last week? Was that what you were hearing?
Yeah.
You know, the owners, were they on the sideline in that game?
They were there.
I believe they were on the... I think they were watching from the sideline.
Next to the Triple M call team.
Oh, yeah.
Next to Reedy. Was Reedy there on Friday night?
Who's the owner?
Yeah.
Reedy's the owner.
He's close enough to him.
Look, the only thing that saves Des is if the Titans show some backbone and say that the clauses are out. Otherwise, he's coaching with the clauses in, with doubt over his future, with doubt over his ability to recruit. There is no point in him being there. There is no point in him being the coach with these clauses there now because they're exposed. Whoever, like, it was a good story to get it.
It was Carianis.
It was a good Carianis story, and for that to be exposed, I think it was mischievous by whoever did it. They did it with a reason. It wasn't accidental.
Name names.
I don't know who did it.
No.
I don't know who. I didn't do the story.
You looked like you had a view on it.
No, I've got a view on it that it's done for a reason.
Yeah.
And Des,
of course it is. Yeah.
Like, Des is basically dead man walking until they come out and back him.
Yeah.
How does he recruit?
Well, yes. But if they keep winning, then it doesn't matter.
Well, then he beats his clause, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like
because they're good enough to be playing finals football.
Without a doubt.
I love that roster.
But isn't it okay? You're the roster king, right? The GM of everything. Isn't it imbalanced? Like with all the fullbacks and not like they've got Kieran.
Yeah. I don't think.
Isn't there any arguments imbalanced?
But there's still enough talent there to be doing.
And they spent a lot of money in the forwards and
yeah. I was surprised. I didn't think they needed to invest in Regan. thought they had a good enough forward pack as it was.
Mm.
Not that Regan's a bad player. I'm just saying, talking about balance of a roster.
They've got David Fafita injured and in reserve
I
grade.
think they're going to live to regret making David backflip on his Roosters deal.
So just with these clauses, by the way, so it sounds
The
similar.
Des ones, or?
Yeah, the Des clauses. Like until those clauses are either removed, there's doubt. So it's a bit like the Luai situation. So if Tigers lose another 3
Get
games,
out
64-0,
activated.
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's doubt.
Martin Luai's a good guy.
Is he?
I've been to their house, interviewed him before.
He's a good guy.
He's young. Like you'd think he's very young for a father.
Yeah, he looks
like
like Jerome's brother.
Yeah, he
older
doesn't look
brother.
like his dad.
Yeah.
And he's a kind of goes a knockabout guy. He mucks around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Those who would know him knew he was mucking around, but in the context of
Yeah.
what has unfolded,
It's not an unreal look.
I don't think Jerome would have been sitting there. Yeah, good one, Dad. But I don't know, it wasn't meant with any malice.
No.
I just think
I messaged with him afterwards, and I ran his quotes on 100% footy, basically along the lines of, it was meant to be an in joke between whoever, and it got out, and Grubbs like Chammy screenshot it.
I didn't.
Oh, didn't you?
No, I didn't do the story.
Oh, I thought you did it.
No.
Oh, well, sorry, not that Grubb. No.
Hey,
So,
what's your accusations?
Anyway, it ended up in the media,
It was in
and
the Telegraph.
oh, sorry, I thought it was you. It smelt like a Chammy story.
Wow, that's embarrassing.
Tigers related. I just think it's Chammy.
No.
Yeah, Isaac Puppet.
Isaac Puppet.
I was at Central Gardens having a picnic with the family on Mother's Day, mate. I wouldn't-
Anyhow,
What a guy.
he felt bad about it, and he removed it himself. The club didn't tell him to remove it. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, I think it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's just more Tiger madness, and it would be good if Jerome removed those clauses. What would they be worth? How much could he ask for those clauses to be removed? Like if you're Jerome and you okay, I'll remove
I had it
them.
explained to me. It's not about getting out. It's about giving Jerome the ability that if he's absolutely flying,
Mm-hmm.
to be paid what he's worth.
Okay, so isn't he getting well paid now?
Well, I think he's been very good for him. I don't know if the Tigers would increase his contract though.
But to remove clauses, like your friend Mitchell Moses did a new deal
Yep.
and took all his clauses out and extended for 5 more years
Yep.
with Isaac,
Yep.
your other good friend.
Yep.
And I wonder whether the Tigers should be approaching Jerome and saying, "Hey, here's an extra 150 a year. Take him out." Would you do it? Was it worth it?
I think Jerome is
You
very
know
well
something.
paid.
Right.
No, I think Jerome's very well paid, and I think for the greater good of that club, he deserves to earn everything he's worth. But the more you get in a situation, they keep paying these guys more and more, then somewhere else down the line it's going to cost you. You won't be able to re-sign someone or pay
Yeah, but he's your
someone.
main man.
Yep, and they're paying him main man money though.
Mm.
I don't think they're paying him unders. They're paying him 1.2.
But what about
plus.
how much is the uncertainty worth? It's because there is uncertainty, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, Jerome is talking as though he wants. Mate, I'd be believing Jerome. He's all
Okay.
in.
Okay.
Gents, thanks for this week. Good luck on 100% footy. Who's on next week? You worked that out yet?
I
Actually,
don't know. What happens now? Because it was supposed to be me last week. Do you go this week? Now? Go
Monday, I'm
again?
still in Sydney, and then I go to. I don't
I think
know.
it's me.
Actually, I'll settle it. It depends on who the guest is. Thanks for listening.